Hey guys, Dr. Joe here. Glad to be with us today. Got all cameras working. Everybody's happy today. Good. I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. First time joining us, welcome. Glad you could be here. If you've been with us before, you know how the game is played. I'm going to speak for 24 minutes. And at the other 24 minutes, you, whatever platform you're on, can type in any health question you have. Type it in. John is going to be my producer. He's going to read me the questions at the end of 24 minutes. We'll take a break from the show and we'll answer your questions. Then I'm going to do another 24 minutes, and then you can type in more questions. I'll answer any questions you have at that time as well. So this is an amazing opportunity for you to get your health questions asked, because all of us have health questions, and oftentimes we don't know where to turn. I want to be your source. I want to be your doctor. So that's how it goes. So whenever you guys are ready, I'm ready to start. Ready? Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. I am glad you're with us today. Today, we're going to talk about health myths, because people come to me literally every day, several times a day, and say, I heard or I saw on Facebook or YouTube that blank, whatever it is. So we're going to discuss health myths today, what's real, what's not, and how you can start incorporating these things into your own life. Because some of them are true, and some of them are not. And I don't want you getting wrong information. People always joke about they talk to Dr. Google, and this is what Dr. Google said. Well, sometimes it's right, sometimes it's not. It depends on where the source came from. So let's jump right in. One of the questions I get quite often is, how much water do I have to drink every day? 6 glasses, 8 glasses? The answer is it depends. It depends really on your diet. So, for example, if you're eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, a lot of juicy fruits and vegetables, you don't have to drink as much water. So if you're going to sit down and have a big salad, I did this the other night. I had a huge salad, and I went to a place. It was great. They don't sponsor the show, so I'm not going to give the name out. But it was $11, a huge bowl of salad. I had 2 meals out of it. That was a lot of fluid. Probably don't have to drink a lot of water with that. Now, if I'm going to be eating something dry, maybe popcorn or meats or dairy products, probably going to have to drink a lot more water. So how do you know you have enough water? Is it too hot out? Are you an athlete? What's your genetics look like? So a simple little thing you can do is look at your urine. If your urine is clear, you're probably drinking enough water. If your urine is cloudy, it's not. Now, a simple thing to do is get a clear glass, and actually pee in a glass, and look at it. And if it has a lot of floating particles in it, that can be an issue. The issue could be that you have protein in your urine. That's not very healthy. Okay. Now, if you're taking B complex, like I take Dr. Joe's B complex every day, B vitamins can give you your urine a very bright yellow look. That's okay. If I didn't take it, it'd be an issue. The other issue too is if you eat something like beets. Beets are red. And I've had people go to the bathroom and red comes out and they get all nervous and they think they're bleeding to death. And it's like, no, you just had beets. Give it another round and you'll be okay. But simple thing is, if your urine is clear, you're probably fine. If your urine stinks, that can be a sign of a health issue. Not whether you drink enough water or not, you could have an infection. Now, if you eat asparagus, there's actually a chemical in asparagus that makes your urine stink in some people. Not everybody. So that's the exception again. There's exceptions to the rules. But generally speaking, if your urine is clear, you're probably fine. What I do, as I'm getting older, I don't like to wake up and pee every night, several times a night. So what I do is I stop drinking a lot of fluids right around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And so after 3 o'clock, then it gives me time to get the fluids out of my system. I don't wake up as much. Because people say that too. Well, Dr. Joe, I'm not getting a good night's sleep. Well, why is that? Well, I drink a 6-pack of beer every night. Well, that's going to make you pee. Okay, so that's a big problem. So just you got to kind of learn yourself. If you're young, you can probably get away with it. As you get older, it becomes more and more of an issue. I had this happen way back when I was in practice. I was in practice probably a couple of weeks, actually. And then I had it happen just recently, where a patient would hold their nose when they would sneeze. Anybody do that? Not supposed to. Because what happens is you build up pressure inside your body. It's called intrathecal pressure. That's pressure inside your spinal cord. And if you have intrathecal pressure, it can put pressure from the inside out and could actually rupture or damage your discs in your spine. And it's a test we actually do for patients to see if the disc is involved. So let's assume you have back pain. What's the cause of the back pain? Is it a pinched nerve? Is it what's called the facet? The facet is where the two bones kind of join together in your spine. And there's a nerve in there. It's called the median branch nerve. And if that nerve is being irritated, that can be a problem. So chiropractic care many times put the bones back in place, take the pressure off the median branch nerve, and you're good. Sometimes the capsule and the nerve is so damaged that you need medical intervention. You might need something called an ablation, where a doctor can go in and actually go in, and they call it burn a nerve, but damage the median branch nerve so it doesn't feel pain anymore. Sometimes that happens because the capsules, the ligaments that surround the joints, can be stretched. And this is classic in car accident cases or sports injuries. In a car accident case, you have your seatbelt holding your body, nothing's holding your head. So when you get hit, your body is locked in, but your head can snap around. And when the head gets knocked around, you can actually tear the ligaments and damage the facet. And that median branch nerve, when it hurts bad. And so many times chiropractic care is the answer. We use something called cold laser. Cold laser is excellent. It's a laser beam. It's a special frequency of laser beam. Doesn't hurt. That's why it's cold. And you can send it into an area and actually heal damaged ligaments, facet joints, discs. So we try to do that first. If for some reason it's very rare that doesn't fix it, we can always what I do call escalation of care and send you out to a neurosurgeon, orthopedic surgeon, a pain management doctor, and then they can work on that. So we try to do everything we can, the most conservative, least expensive way of doing it. We have doctors on call that we can refer you to if we have to, but many times we don't. So the way we test is you have back pain, and we can move your head around. Hey, it hurts when I do this, hurts when I do this. Okay. Then I'll say bear down, like you're going to sneeze, but don't. Like, and hold your breath. And if the pain comes from the spine, many times that's an indication of a disc injury. The disc's a little pad sitting in between the bones. Now, what I find sometimes is doctors, if you go to doctor, you have back pain, automatically you need surgery. Well, not necessarily. In fact, I just had a case the other day. A patient had 6 levels of their spine fused together. And I looked at the MRIs and I looked at everything. Now, I didn't know the case beforehand, but my opinion, and I spoke to some other colleagues of mine, the surgeries were totally unnecessary. They should have done a conservative approach first and then went to the surgery. This doctor went right to the surgery. But this doctor is also known to run up the bills, and it wasn't cool. So if you bear down, cough, sneeze, strain, and you start having pain in your spine, that could be an indication that there's actually a swollen disc. And if you hold your breath when you sneeze, you could actually make the disc worse. So I don't recommend you do that. I've had plenty of patients do it, and it can cause some real serious problems. It's called a Valsalves maneuver, in case you need to know what that's called. But we can then use that when we do an examination to determine, is it a ligament, is it a pinched nerve, is it a disc injury, is it a muscle injury? It's called a differential diagnosis. And my team of doctors and I are really good at doing a differential diagnosis on trying to find out what's causing the problem. I believe you have pain when you come see us. I have no doubt that's true. We want to find out why you have the pain, because we can cover it up or we can fix it. Sometimes you do both, but we always want to get to the cause of the problem. But I've had people hold their nose and they start getting blazing headache, hold their nose and sneeze, and because the pressure inside the skull actually builds up. It's an intrathecal pressure. It can also affect your eyes because you have pressure in your eyes called ocular pressure. And if you hold your nose and sneeze, it can increase the intraocular pressure and the intrathecal pressure, and that can cause some real serious problems. So for those of you, and we're talking today about medical myths, are they true or are they not? For those of you who hold your nose when you sneeze, don't do it. Sneeze, let it go. Let it out. Because I've been in practice, about 40 years now, and I've seen enough of these injuries that were like, you did it to yourself. You really need to do that. And again, I don't see it often. Early on, and then I just had it recently. That's what made me think about it. So if you're just tuning in, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. What we're talking about today are medical myths or, old wives' tales. Are they true? Are they not true? One of the things that happened the other day, it was funny. I was in the office, and it was one of my staff, and they dropped something on the counter, and it was something to eat, and they picked it up, said, 5-second rule. And so I said, that's interesting. That everyone thinks 5 seconds, it's not a problem. It really depends where you drop it. Now, in our office, we keep everything very clean. So on our counter, probably fine. If you're out in a park somewhere, you drop it in the dirt, probably not such a good idea. So it depends on the food, the surface. I mean, if I drop an apple that's still, uncut or anything, probably not that big a deal. If I drop a lollipop, well, it's more of a problem. So don't take chances. We live in a society that's very sterile, and sometimes too sterile, actually. But don't take chances and eat something that's bad. People ask me about that with food all the time, too. Food has an expiration date. That doesn't mean the food is bad. That just means legally the manufacturer had to put a date on it saying, it's probably you could get something fresher. Now, our supplements, of course, we have supplements. Many times I've taken it 2-3 years later, still fine. Because our supplements are dry. They don't have fluid in them. Now, if I'm eating something like a salad, well, you're going to know it's bad. It's all slimy and everything. So don't get too freaked out. I mean, if it's 5-10 years past the expiration date, probably time to throw it away. But the expiration date does not mean it's bad, just so you understand that. And a lot of people throw away food unnecessarily. So don't freak out over that. So kind of goes along with the 5-second rule. It depends. Depends on the food itself. And whenever you eat something, if it doesn't taste right, throw it away. Always. Don't take that chance, especially things that are high in fat. So, for example, nuts. We've all probably done this. I know I've done it, especially when I was young and fresh out of school and had no money. When I was in school, I had no money. I remember eating pecans, and they didn't taste right, or pecans, depends how you want to say it. And they just didn't taste right. But I ate them anyway because they were expensive. Not a good idea. Because the oils in the nuts can go rancid. And the only thing worse than a bad oil is a bad rancid oil. Rancid oils can do a lot of damage. When oils go rancid, they create something called free radicals. Now, free radicals are molecules that are like Pac-Man. They eat through things. Waka, waka, waka. So they're eating through things. And if you're eating rancid oils, very toxic to the body. So if something doesn't taste right, especially something that's greasy, throw it away. Now, let's go on a little oil tangent here for a second. I got this call the other day on one of my shows. They wanted to know if they can, it was pecans again. Can I use pecan oil? Because I always say you want to use coconut oil, olive oil, avocado oil. Can I use pecan oil? Weird question. Not a lot of people have that. And can I cook with it? The answer is yes, you can use it on things like salad, but I wouldn't cook with it. Because oils have something called a smoke point. And a smoke point is when the oil starts to degrade when it's heated. Now, coconut oil has a high smoke point. Okay to cook with. Olive oil, medium smoke point. Not a good idea. So if you're cooking something with oil and it starts to smoke, it's done. Throw the oil away. It's been toxic. It turned toxic. So I always say the only 3 oils you need are going to be extra virgin organic coconut oil. That's for cooking. Extra virgin organic olive oil for eating raw. And if you want to have some avocado oil, or in this case, pecan oil, those are okay. But the other issue I find is if you have these exotic oils, pecan oil, you're not going to use it a lot, and it can go bad. So if you ever have an oil and it goes bad, throw it away, please. It can cause some real serious long-term damage because of the free radical damage that occurs. And people come to me all the time and say, Dr. Joe, I want to stay young. How do I stay young? Well, the easiest thing to do is stay away from the free radicals. The number one thing that makes you look old, what do you think it is? Alcohol, dehydration, too much sun. You can do about 15 or 20 minutes in the sun, and when your skin starts to turn warm, you're done. Get out of the sun. Now, if you're going to use a sunscreen, and I felt so vindicated the other day, the FDA, whatever it was, said that sunscreens can be very dangerous. Now, I've been talking about this for years. So the only sunscreens that I would recommend are zinc oxide or titanium dioxide. Now, the reason they work is they've actually put a coating on you. They leave a little white film on you. That's okay. That's good. Zinc oxide, titanium dioxide. Any other sunscreen, chances are it's going to have chemicals in it. Now, sometimes I've seen the chemical ones, they're getting smart, and saying, contains zinc oxide, because Dr. Joe said so. And they have other chemicals in it as well. Very few chemicals. All of them you should be able to pronounce, and the main ingredient should be zinc oxide or titanium dioxide. So if you're out in the sun, which you should be, get out in the sun. The sunlight actually recharges your body. It activates something called the mitochondria in the cell, and the mitochondria generates electricity. But after about 20 minutes, it starts to damage the skin. So the best thing to do is get out of the sun. Wear a big hat, long sleeves, long pants. That's the thing. If you ever go to the Caribbean or islands where it's warm all the time, You don't see the natives slapping on sunscreen. What do? They have on baggy pants, long shirts, big hats. They're protecting their skin. Now, many times they're darker skin anyway, so that's safer. But they know not to be out in the sun all day. They know the damage that occurs. We, the silly tourists, are down there slapping on sunscreen that can actually be more toxic than the sun itself. It protects you from the sun but causes other problems. So zinc oxide, titanium dioxide, or better yet, just get out of the sun. That's going to be your best bet. Because people want to stay young. I want to stay young. I want to be around for a while. I made it this far. I figure I deserve to be around a long time. So what are some other things we can do? You know, speeding up the aging process, water is important. We talked about water earlier. Movement is a key. What happens is lack of movement speeds up the aging process. So sitting around all day. But what about if my knee is out of place and my knee isn't bending like it's supposed to? Well, the joints then are rubbing up against each other. The joints are wearing out. We call that osteoarthritis. Osteoarthritis is mechanical. Joints are out of place, rubbing up against each other. What would be the most logical step to do when you have that? Put the joint back in place. So whether it's your knee, your hip, your foot, your spine, put the bones back in place. And then you don't have fixation, we call it. You'll have better motion, and it's going to help increase not only the quality of your life, but the quantity of your life. And that's where things like chiropractic care come in. So if you have a pinched nerve, in fact, I went hiking with my friend the other day, and he had fallen at his house, and he bounced off a tree, and his low back was hurting. So he said, I can't hike very hard. And I said, well, let me take a look at your back. And he's a patient. I have x-rays on him and everything. And sure enough, he had some vertebrae in his spine were out of place. I adjusted him. Mobility came back. He was able to go out for a hike. So if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, hip issues, chances are the bones are out of place, irritating the joint. Put them back in place. When it comes to back pain, chiropractic care is the most effective, least expensive treatment for most back pain. So if I had anything, car issues, air conditioner issues, I would want to do the most effective, least expensive treatment. Consider that when it comes to your own health. So if you have pain, come see us. In the Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. I want to be your doctor. I want to help get to the cause, in this case your pain, and not just treat the symptoms. So if you want to make an appointment, go to my website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. You can book it right online. We have appointments every week available. I always leave new patient appointments available because when you got to see a doctor, you got to see a doctor. Normally, the first visit is $940. For you, my listeners, I've reduced that to $299. That's an exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays on a follow-up visit, and we even do a nutrition evaluation for you. I don't know anybody who does all that at any price. But I feel if we tune up the body, get it physically lined up, we also want to put the right fuel in the body, the right chemistry. It's like tuning up your car and putting good gas in the car. Either one is good. Together, it's exponentially better. So if you're serious about wanting to get well, if you have pain, go to my website, drjoe.com. Love to be your doctor. Now, if you're ever in a car accident, if the car's damaged, you're damaged. I've never seen it any other way. And here's what's going to happen. You're going to get in an accident, and your phone is going to start ringing off the hook. Hi, this is such and such from the hospital, from the insurance company. We want you to go see this doctor and this lawyer. That's a scam. It's illegal. It's a felony. The people calling you are committing a felony. And I've never seen anyone go to these scam doctors or lawyers and get the treatment that they deserve. So if anybody ever calls you saying, hey, come see this doctor, this lawyer, hang up the phone, block their number. No one will ever call you to tell you to go to a doctor or a lawyer. That's a scam. And they're very good at it because they have your police report. It sees what insurance company you have, what hospital you went to, and they'll say, oh, yeah, I'm calling from such and such hospital. You need to go see this doctor. Don't buy it, okay? If you have questions, you can always call me or reach out through my website, drjoe.com. I know who the scammers are. I know who the good guys are. Happy to help you out. But stop suffering needlessly. Go to drjoe.com. Book your appointments. So if you're just tuning in, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We're talking today about medical myths, what to do, what not to do. I've done shows already on supplements, but I need to cover that every show, I think. I can't imagine going a day without taking supplements. I eat a really good diet. My joints are really loose. I have very good flexibility. I have good digestion. But I still want to supplement my diet. Because as I get older, I don't absorb nutrients like I used to. The food is different. 20 years ago, we didn't have steroids, chemicals, hormones, antibiotics, pesticides, genetically modified food, glyphosate. None of those things existed 20, 30 years ago. It's a very different world. And this generation of children is the first generation ever to have a shorter life expectancy than their parents by 5 years. All this medical wonder that we have, all the knowledge that we have, MRIs, CAT scans, surgeries that are just so far advanced from where they were even 20 years ago, and yet life expectancy is still 5 years less. Something's wrong. And a lot of it has to do, I feel, with our diet. So I take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source every day. They're 2 powders. I take a scoop of each. I can't imagine going a day without it. So those are on the website, drjoe.com. We talked about vitamin D. If I'm not out in the sun 3 or 4 days a week, 20 minutes a day, exposing my arms and legs, face, and chest, I'm going to take Dr. Joe's vitamin D supplementation. I take B vitamins every day because B vitamins, you pee them out every day. You got to restore the B vitamin supplies in your body. And you really can see amazing results when you stay away from the bad foods, eat the good foods, take the supplements, keep the joints lined up. If you have digestive issues, the most common issue that I find is your stomach can push up into your diaphragm. And a very simple procedure is we can adjust or pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm. And it's the number 2 reason we see patients. Number 1 reason is pain. Number 2, digestive problems. So if you're serious about wanting to get well, go to my website, drjoe.com. If you have any questions, send them to me through the website. I'm happy to answer your questions. Follow me on social media. We post health tips every single day. It's at Dr. Joe Esposito. Every day you're going to get a health tip. You don't like it? Unfollow me. It's very simple. Sign up for our newsletter. It's on the website. We send out so much insider information. We've even given away concert tickets to our insider folks. If you don't like it, unsubscribe. I want to give you as much information as I can to get well and stay well. That's my job. Been doing it for 40 years. We're getting pretty good at it. All right. So other things, other myths, medical myths you may have heard of. We only use 10% of our brain. That's not true. We use most of our brain. Now, some people use more than others, of course, but we use all parts of our brain. So we're not limited to that 10%. I don't know where that ever came from. I remember hearing that as a kid. Gray hair. If you pull out a single gray hair, more than one is going to grow back. Not true. If you pull out a hair, you pull out the root, it doesn't grow 2 new hair. Believe me, I wish it worked. I'd grow hair all over my head again. But it doesn't work that way. Now, a couple years ago, I did a hair analysis. I wanted to find out if I had any deficiencies, if I had mercury toxicity. You can measure that through hair analysis. And what I found was I was deficient in selenium. So I started taking selenium. My gray hair went away. And I was amazed. And I looked it up, and sure enough, selenium deficiency could be one of the causes of gray hair. Now, I don't know if that's your cause, but it was my cause. And that's why the hair analysis that we do in our office, we can even send you the kit to do yourself and mail it in, and we can discuss it. It measures heavy metal toxicity like mercury, lead, cadmium, and I found out selenium deficient. Something as simple as that made such a difference in my life. And most people think I'm about 20 years younger than I am, and I'm perfectly fine with that. So it really works when you put the right nutrients in the body, when you keep the joints moving around, you got the digestive system working. This is not hard to figure out. You just got to do it. I don't know if you ever drove a stick shift, but my first car was a van, and it was a stick shift. And I remember the first time I ever drove it, there was no way I was ever going to drive this thing. And eventually got good at it. First time you use a computer, this thing doesn't work. It's broken. You got good at it. Same thing with health. You have to hear things over and over again, implement a little bit at a time, and watch the changes. So if you want to make an appointment, drjoe.com. Questions, drjoe.com. Follow me at Dr. Joe Esposito. See, I'm repeating things again. If you're a podcast junkie, just go to your podcast service and type in Dr. Joe for the health of it. Dr. Joe for the health of it. And again, car accidents, we'd love to help steer your ship and get you to the right doctors and lawyers because believe me, you're going to be very disappointed if you make the wrong decision. And if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them for you, like I said, because we all have questions. We all have issues that we don't understand. And if you're from the VA, if the VA refers you to our office, we're on the VA referral list. The VA will actually pay for your treatment if you come here. So, folks, I got to go to a break. Don't go anywhere. So much more to cover. Again, the website, drjoe.com. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We'll be right back. Bam. Part 1. We have guests today, so that's why I'm talking over there. So, yes. Questions?
There are a couple.
Okay.
I use extra virgin olive oil regularly. Do any of the health benefits deteriorate before the expiration date?
Not much. It's not going to break down that much, so you're okay. Yeah. What I do with extra virgin olive oil, too, I should have said this, make sure it's only from one source. So I went to one of the big box stores a while ago, and I bought one. It was really cheap, big bottle, extra virgin organic. I said, oh, this is great. And it came from, like, Spain and Greece and California, whatever it was, Italy. And the more sources you have, the more likely it is for that oil to be contaminated with cheap oils, with soybean oil, something like that. So try to get it from one source, extra virgin organic. That's going to be your best bet. And a little trick you can do, put it in the refrigerator overnight. If it gets cloudy, you know it's a good olive oil. What else you got?
How much sugar is too much per day?
Any processed sugar is too much. In theory, you're supposed to have about 40 grams of carbs a day, but that's all carbs. But that's not a good judge, because if I have 40 grams of chickpeas and lentils, that's a good carb. That's a complex carb. Not that big a deal. There's really no limit on that. I mean, to a point. So if it's processed sugar, the answer should be 0. Now, if you're eating processed sugar, I want you to feel really guilty. And if you feel really guilty, hopefully you'll stop eating it. But processed sugar is just junk. It's just horrible. Now, I know it tastes sweet. I like it too. But you really got to be careful with that. So the question is, what kind of sugar? Complex carbs, simple carbs, white sugar. So the answer is as little as possible. So.
What is the best type of honey?
Best type of honey is organic, local honey. And again, it's okay, Josh. We're not. This isn't going on the air, so Josh is trying to cough back there, and so organic, local honey would be the best. It's still high in fructose, so it's not a health food necessarily, but organic and local is going to be your best. And it should crystallize. It should get chunky. If it's clear and it flows easily, chances are it's mixed with high fructose corn syrup. And try to get it from America, because if it comes from another country, it's more likely to be adulterated. So, questions?
How can you tell if an oil is going bad?
Smell it first. Okay, that's the easiest thing to do, and then taste it. But again, there's only a couple of oils you should use. Coconut oil usually lasts a pretty long time. Extra virgin olive oil will start to have a rancid smell to it. Now, good olive oil does have a smell to it. That's a good sign. So if you get to know what the real stuff smells like, then you know what the bad stuff is. But again, if slight expiration date, not that big a deal. 2-3 years after the expiration date, probably not something you want to do. So, yes. The best kind of nuts would be raw, would be the best. So walnuts, pecans, pistachios. If I had to pick one, walnut is the best. Okay? Now, peanuts are not nuts. First of all, they're legumes. And peanuts are very high in omega-6 fatty acids. And those omega-6 fatty acids cause inflammation in the body. Peanuts, all of them except Valencia nuts, also have a mycotoxin, a fungus that grows on them. So I strongly advise you stay away from peanuts. Now, some people are going to get mad at me. That's okay. The research is very clear. Inflammatory, allergic reaction. So walnuts would be the best one. But walnuts, pecans, pistachios, all those are fine. Now, you'll never see a raw cashew. Cashews are never in the shell. They're always out. And the reason is, if you take a cashew and you break open the shell, there's an oil on that cashew that's toxic. So you have to gently roast them to burn off the oil. That's why you never see raw cashews, because you can't, because they're poison. So I was in Peru one time, and I saw them in a tree, but that's not the same thing. So. All right, other questions?
That is all.
That's it? We're good? Nobody over there? We're good on that platform, John? We've got all platforms. All right, good. All right, we're going to do part 2 now, folks. So we're going to talk for another 24 minutes. Any questions you have, type it in your platform. I'm happy to answer your questions at the end of 24 minutes. So, all right, sip of tea. Ready? Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito. If you're just joining us, welcome. If you stayed with us, thank you. I do appreciate that. I know everybody's really busy. What we're talking about today are medical myths. We're just blowing up some medical myths. Some are true, some aren't, and that's why I want you to know the truth. I remember when I was young, I didn't want to shave because I had heard that if you shave, you're going to have to shave all the time. So I remember being, 13, 14 years old, just ratty, scraggly, and that's pretty much what boys looked like back then, still do now. You can stimulate hair growth by shaving, but it comes back largely, it depends on your genetics how it comes back. Usually it doesn't regrow any coarser or any darker than before, but it may come back more quickly. But that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, really. I mean, if you're going to shave, you just have to shave more often. In the world of blue lights, computer screens, phone screens, it is an issue. And it can affect your vision. But reading in low light really isn't going to affect your vision, because if you can read, you're okay. If you can't, then you shouldn't do it anyway. So, but blue screen time is really an issue. And so a little thing that you can do that works really well, and my friend Frank taught me this way, way, way back in college, is called sunning. And what he taught me to do is close your eyes and then look up at the sun. Now, keep your eyes closed, of course. And the radiant light can get into your eyes. And this is from India Indian procedure, where you can actually stimulate the pineal gland in the brain by doing sunning. And I think it's great. And I find that when I do that, my vision actually improves a little bit. Now, of course, close your eyes, then look up. Don't look up and then close your eyes. But sunlight is so important, and morning sunlight seems to have some magical effect. And I don't know if there's a whole lot of research on it, but a lot of cultures say in the morning, as the sun rises, face the sun. And getting out in the sun is so important. There's another thing you can do called grounding. And with grounding, you just take your shoes off and walk barefoot, whether it's on the beach, in grass. Now, if you spray your grass with chemicals, don't do that. But when you do that, you're actually exchanging electrons. You're exchanging electricity with the earth. And grounding has been shown to help a lot of different issues. And even if you can't walk, just take them off and just put your feet on the ground. And it's really a cool little thing to do. And that's why one of the reasons you feel so good when you're at the ocean, because you're walking usually barefoot and you get grounded. And also when water flows, it releases something called negative ions. And negative ions are chemicals that are in the air. When water flows, they're released. And then when they get into the body, simply put, they can attach to bad stuff and neutralize it. So being around flowing water makes you feel good. And there's a reason for that, because of negative ions. And then you do negative ions and the grounding, sunlight. So there's things you can do physically to keep your body healthy. And that's something this society, our society, has really lost. Everything is chemical. I need a drug. I need a supplement. I need a food. Everything is chemical. So much of healthcare is physical. And that's the missing link in healthcare. We keep trying to treat the chemical, but we never address the physical. And so that's where things like chiropractic come in, massage come in, acupuncture comes in, to physically get the body tuned up. Then you add good chemistry, and the chemistry works with good food, supplements, and that's when the life really starts to change. You know, you tune up your car, you put good gas in it. You tune up your air conditioner, you change the filter. Why don't we ever tune up our bodies? I don't understand it. Healthcare is missing that missing link. And if we just added that to our repertoire, we would save a fortune in healthcare costs and probably extend lives too. And a lot of other cultures have that. For some reason, Western society, we've lost that. And it's okay to bring it back. And things like chiropractic and massage and acupuncture. I remember years ago, I was lecturing at a medical school, and somebody brought up acupuncture, and I said it was okay. It's a bunch of junk. You know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. And now they're teaching acupuncture in a lot of medical schools. So there's a lot of things that were poo-pooed years ago that are kind of coming back in style. I went to a water tasting the other day, and this fella wants to import this special water from Peru. And it's high in calcium, high in magnesium, high in silica. It has a slight bubble to it. And he had different waters that he's thinking about importing from other countries. And it was really fancy in a fancy hotel, and it was very nice. And they had a sommelier there, a water sommelier. That's a woman who's an expert in water. And they talked about different solids, dissolved solids, and where it came from. Was it glacier? Was it volcanic? And they wanted everybody's opinion. And they wanted me there because they said, Dr. Joe, we want to know what the healthiest water is, because the trend is moving toward functional water. Functional water means it has some nutritional benefits as opposed to just tap water. And so he worked for, there was a couple of guys there who worked for one of the big soda companies. And they see the trend, and they want to jump on board before the big soda companies get on board. And assuming get bought out by the big soda companies. But I thought it was really cool that the trend is, even on big soda companies, are going toward more functional foods, functional healthcare, functional supplements. What's going to get me better? What's in it for me? And I love the fact that that's where the trends are going. This is why you're seeing things like chiropractic exploding in popularity. You're seeing things like massage, health food stores. Years ago, I went plant-based about 38 years ago. It was beans and rice and then rice and beans. That was it. Maybe a salad. Now, every time I go to a steakhouse, because a lot of people want to take me out to steakhouses for some reason. I don't know why. There's always something on the menu that's plant-based. I went to one the other day. They had Brussels sprouts and tofu steak. Well, it was tofu with a little teriyaki sauce. It wasn't a steak. But the fact that it's on the menu at a steakhouse is showing that there's a need for it. You know, my friend Clark Howard always says, vote with your wallet. And that's I love that line, vote with your wallet. If you don't like something, don't buy it. Don't complain. You don't have to go on ranting and raving and reviews and everything. Just don't spend your money there. And when the money stops being spent, the companies will shift. And the shift is really strong toward things like supplements. That's why people ask me about my supplements. I can't say every day, every hour. Somebody sends me an email, a message, a phone call, a patient asking about what supplement works for blah, blah, blah. So the minimum supplements I would say Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Essential Source is prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, complete multivitamin, and it's powder. It tastes great. I mix it with Dr. Joe's Super Greens. Now, Super Greens has chlorella and spirulina in it, which helps detoxify the liver, has omega-3 fatty acids in it for brain function, and they both have iodine. And unless you're eating an Asian diet, which has seaweed in it, chances are you're not getting enough iodine. And iodine is necessary, we're thinking now, for every cell in the body to function, especially the thyroid gland. So many people have thyroid issues. And so I take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source every day for multiple reasons. Now, we have plain and we have mint. I like the mint Super Greens. It's a little sweeter, has a mint flavor. The plain is plain. But plain by far is our most popular one. And I don't know why, because I don't like it as much. But I can't imagine not taking a scoop of that every day. I take vitamin D every day because I'm not out in the sun like I'm supposed to be. I take a B complex every day because B vitamins get processed. You pee them out every day. You need to replace those B vitamins. And 40% of us out there, myself included, have something called an MTHFR genetic mutation. That means we can't convert certain types of B vitamins into a usable form, the methylated form. So our B vitamins are all methylated already. So anybody can take them, whether you have the MTHFR gene mutation or you don't, all of us can take it. So I take a B vitamin every day. I take a men's hormone support because I'm getting older. My hormones are dropping. I want to make sure I can feed my body the raw materials I need. I take estrogen regulator. Estrogen regulator helps prevent my testosterone from converting into estrogen. And as you get older, that happens to men and women. So I want to keep my testosterone levels high by giving my body the raw materials and making sure I'm not converting it over. Okay, it's called diindolylmethane, and it's an aromatase inhibitor, prevents testosterone from converting into estrogen. So I did a whole workup on myself, and I said, this is what I need for a man my age and my lifestyle. And I would love to do a workup for you. So if you want to become a patient, if you become an active chiropractic or pain management patient, we do an exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment on the first visit. Then on the follow-up visit, a complete nutrition evaluation, and we go over your x-rays with you and put together a treatment plan for you. The cost for that is normally $940. I've reduced that to $299. Again, exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, nutrition evaluation, and going over all your findings. So if you want to get well, that I'd say is step one. People say, where do I start? Let's find out what's going on structurally. Let's find out what's going on chemically, and let's see what I can suggest to do to fix it. And then if you want to fix it, great. If you don't, that's okay too. I don't argue with patients. I've learned that years ago. And so we want to get to the cause of your problem. Maybe you have acid reflux. We can adjust the stomach and pull it away from the diaphragm. Does great for sleep apnea too, because now the diaphragm's able to go up and down. You can breathe better. So there's so many things. I had one of my patients say the other day, he said, can we just download your brain? I would love to download your brain and just keep it as a resource somewhere. And I said, well, as long as I'm alive, you can use it anytime you want. But if you want to become a patient, and I think you should, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. The Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. We get you in this week. We always leave new patient appointments open. We accept all insurances. Now, it depends if your insurance covers. If there's in-network, out-of-network, there is no simple answer to insurance. We have to check your specific policy. So drjoe.com. About 40 to 50% of our patients don't have insurance. That's fine. It's still the most effective, least expensive treatment for back pain. And we do nutrition on top of it. So if you're serious about wanting to get well, drjoe.com. We also do acoustic wave therapy. We send really fast impulses into a joint, breaks up scar tissue, increases circulation. Countless patients have been told you need a joint replacement. And with acoustic wave, proper nutrition, sometimes we do PRP injections, which is platelets we take from your blood and inject them back into the joint. Cold laser to stimulate the mitochondria that activates the cell. Countless patients have avoided surgery. Now, I'm not saying I have a cure for surgery. I'm saying countless patients don't need it after we work on them. We also have a protocol for erectile dysfunction, ED. We do acoustic wave, home therapies, nitric oxide to increase circulation. We check the nerve supply. We're getting to the cause of the problem. 50% of men over 40 have ED problems. And the 50% of the men that take those little pills and everything, after about 2 years, 40% of them don't work anymore. So now what do? We try to get to the cause of the problem. So if you want to make an appointment for any of those services, just go to drjoe.com. Type in what your appointment time. My staff will call you. You can tell them what kind of appointment you want, and let's get this well. So what we're talking today, if you're just tuning in, we're talking today about medical myths. What's true, what's not. And one of them was, do you shrink as you age? The answer is yes, you do. Because you have little discs, the little pads inside between your vertebrae. And the disc is made up of cartilage, but it's also made up of a lot of fluid. And it's kind of like a jelly donut. It's a little firm on the outside, and there's a squishy center. Okay, it's called the nucleus. And as you get older, the discs literally dry out, and you start to shrink. So what do we do about that? Well, chiropractic care can keep the joints mobile, but every office, every table in our offices are what we call a flexion distraction table. And what that means, we lay the patient down and we traction out their body very gently. And it pumps cerebrospinal fluid, which is the fluid that your brain floats in, up into the brain. It also opens up the discs and creates a vacuum and sucks fluid into the discs. So we're actually rehabilitating the discs by pumping fluid back into the discs and pumping cerebrospinal fluid to the brain. And it's really neat because a lot of people, when they lay on the table, fall asleep. Because what's happening is we're rocking what's called your sacrum, your tailbone, and it's pumping cerebrospinal fluid up into the brain, very relaxing. It's the same principle as when you rock a baby to sleep. When you rock a baby, you're pumping cerebrospinal fluid, it feeds the brain relaxes. So I've had people in very stressful times, death of a loved one, end of a relationship, financial losses. We put them on the table and just let them relax and pump that cerebrospinal fluid, and it's just amazing. I've done it. Done it myself. So incredible. So yes, you do shrink, but there's ways around that. And one of the keys is keeping the joints mobile so you can keep fluid into those discs. Question I get a lot, especially around Thanksgiving, does turkey make you sleepy? The answer is no. There's an amino acid in turkey called tryptophan. And tryptophan goes through a process. Tryptophan combines with vitamin B6, creates a chemical called 5-HTP, and 5-HTP becomes serotonin in your body, especially in your brain, and serotonin helps you focus. Serotonin becomes melatonin, which then helps you sleep. So you're saying, okay, I'm eating tryptophan, it's creating serotonin to create melatonin, that's why I'm sleepy. Doesn't work that way. Most meats have the same amount of tryptophan, not just turkey. So why doesn't every meat put me to sleep? In Thanksgiving, it's volume. You're eating so much food that your body's using so much energy to try to digest it that you fall asleep. So it's not the turkey, it's not the mashed potatoes and the stuffing, it's all of that combined that does it. It's a lot of sugar. And also, if you go to a buffet or Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever it is, or a barbecue, you're eating all these different types of food. And your body's not designed to try to digest a carbohydrate and a protein and a fat and something that's fried and something that's grilled and something that's processed. The body just has a real tough time because different foods require different enzymes to break them down. And so eating less is a better choice. And in fact, I was talking about my friend Frank earlier. He taught me, he lived in India, so he studied meditation, something called Ayurvedic medicine. And they have a story in their religion, in what's called Sanskrit, that said the Adam and Eve story. And in Christian, Judeo-Christian story, it goes that God said you could eat anything you want, just don't eat the apple. Eve ate the apple, original sin. In Sanskrit, it's a little different. God said you could eat anything you want, just don't eat more than you need. And so original sin in that philosophy is gluttony. Don't eat more than you're supposed to. And when Eve ate the apple, it was symbolic of one more bite of food than she needed. That was original sin. So in that philosophy, it's saying stop abusing your body. Don't put too much in your body can't process it. And so science has, of course, come around to say, yeah, you don't want to put too much food in your body. So here's a rule. I don't ever eat a meal when I'm hungry. I'll have a snack before that meal. Maybe a handful of nuts, maybe an avocado, maybe an apple. And then I wait 20 minutes, and then I eat. What happens there? Your stomach releases a hormone called leptin. Leptin is released from your stomach, goes into your blood, goes into your brain, into a part of the brain called the hypothalamus, and makes you feel full. So if I'm hungry, and I eat for 20 minutes, I'm going to eat too much food, and I'm going to be too full. If I have a little snack, I start the leptin release from my stomach going up into my brain, and then when I eat, I can make more logical decisions. Same goes true if you go grocery shopping. Never go grocery shopping hungry, because what do? You buy all the bad foods. We all do it. Well, I've been a good boy. I can get this. I can get that. No. Don't go grocery shopping hungry. Have a snack and watch what happens. I carry little bags of almonds and sometimes cashews, whatever I have in my car. So if I start getting really hungry and I have to go to a dinner, I have to go to an event, I have to go shopping, I'll just have a little bag of nuts. And you'll be amazed, first of all, how much more money you save and how much better your decisions are going to be. And that's really about making decisions, conscious awareness of what you're eating. Instead of just shoving food in your mouth to feel full, make a conscious decision. And watch what happens. It's amazing. You can do it for one meal and see what happens. You'll make so many better decisions. And especially, I don't go to buffets anymore because I want to eat it all. And you shouldn't eat it all. That's the key. You're not supposed to eat all you can eat. Now, one of my degrees is in traumatic brain injury. And I teach doctors and lawyers and physical therapists about traumatic brain injury. And my specialty is the nutrition of traumatic brain injury. Now, when I got certified in traumatic brain injury, big, thick book, tough test, passed the test. It was great. There was one page in one chapter, and it was one paragraph where they talked about diet when it came to traumatic brain injury. Everything else was, what do you do if you have it? What kind of government funding is available? How do you deal with somebody if your spouse has a traumatic brain injury? On and on and on and on. But they didn't really talk about what to do about it. And I studied all these months, and I said, nobody talks about what to do if you have one. Keeping the body in motion, chiropractic care, keeping the joints loose, pumping cerebrospinal fluid up into the brain, and staying away from certain foods. And one of the foods you need to stay away from is monosodium glutamate. Because when I have a traumatic brain injury, so when I damage my brain, if my brain injury acts up, my cells release glutamic acid. Glutamic acid is the glutamate, monosodium glutamate, and it causes severe headaches and pain. So I want to stay away from things that are going to cause more glutamic acid release. So I got to be really careful with processed foods that have MSG. There's over 40 different names for monosodium glutamate. Autolyzed yeast, hydrolyzed vegetable protein, natural flavor can be monosodium glutamate. And so the other thing you want to stay away from is aspartame, because aspartame has aspartic acid in it, and that can trigger pain as well. So artificial sweetener and monosodium glutamate are keys when it comes to traumatic brain injuries. And most of us are going to suffer traumatic brain injury sometime in our lives. Car accidents, again, the seatbelt holds you, your head goes forward and backwards, your brain floats inside your skull, and it slams into the bone. It's called a contre-coup injury. In French means back and forth. And so you have a TBI, traumatic brain injury. And so there's a lot of doctors, neurologists that will send me their traumatic brain injury patients and say, Joe, check the bones, make sure all the nerves and blood supply is working, and then also do a nutrition evaluation for them. And it's very impressive if we ever have to go to court. because the insurance companies don't know what to do with this. Nobody does this except us. And so they're pretty excited. We get excited because nobody knows how to argue with us. So, yes, you have to have good cerebrospinal fluid flow. You have to have the bones loosen up in the neck, making sure you got good blood supply. You have to make sure you do nutrition evaluations. Stay away from certain foods. I take Dr. Joe's nitric oxide every day. Nitric oxide opens up your blood vessels and increases circulation. And I do it before a lecture, before a radio show, before a TV show. If I have a big day, I had a busy day at work, I'm going to a concert that night, I'll take nitric oxide. It's great for sexual function. It opens up the blood supply to your sex organs for men and women. Brain function, I give it to a lot of students when they're taking tests. Amazing things happen. And it gives you a lot of energy too. Don't take nitric oxide if you have low blood pressure. It can actually lower your blood pressure. So if you have high blood pressure, I'm fine with you taking it. If you have normal blood pressure, I'm fine with you taking it. Don't take it if you have low blood pressure. It can make the blood pressure actually lower. So just be careful with that. But I love nitric oxide. It's my third favorite supplement. And boy, I'm tired. I'm busy. I got to keep my brain functioning. I'm going to give a lecture. There's going to be, doctors there, lawyers, people that are really smart, and they're going to ask me questions. I got to have my brain working the best it can. And so that's why I love my nitric oxide. So all the supplements we talk about, Super Green, Essential Source, vitamin D, B vitamins, nitric oxide. I take a digestive enzyme when I eat cooked foods because at my age, I just don't digest food like I used to. The enzymes help break it down. All those, men's hormone support, women's hormone support, estrogen regulator, all those are on the website, drjoe.com. And if you're not sure, read about them. If you're not sure what to take, send me questions. I'm happy to give you my recommendations. So any health questions, you can send it through my website, drjoe.com. Make an appointment to come see us. Let's check the spine. Let's check the nervous system. Let's check the diet. Let's check your digestive system, drjoe.com. We can get you an appointment this week. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. Normally it's $940. For you, my listeners, I've reduced that to $299. There's no reason why. I've removed all the barriers I can. There's no reason why you shouldn't getting your body checked to find out what you can do to get better and stay better. Because once the health goes, and believe me, I've seen a lot of patients in my 40 years, and they come in and say, Doc, I'll do anything you say. Why didn't you come to me 10 years ago? Yeah, I don't know. So don't be like most of my patients say, why didn't I do this sooner? So drjoe.com, great source of information. Follow me on social media at Dr. Joe Esposito, all one word, at Dr. Joe Esposito. We post every day. We post health tips. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Follow me. By the way, that's what you have to do is my favorite. I'm asking you for a favor. I give you all this information. I'm asking you to do me a favor. Follow me on social media. And, of course, we have our newsletter. You can sign up on our website. That's really the elite group of folks. Those are the ones who are really serious about wanting to get well. Sign up for our newsletter. If you don't like it, unsubscribe. It's free. We're never going to give out your email address. Don't worry. So one thing I want to cover, too, is supplements. Can supplements help with a cold and flu? The answer is probably. I take vitamin D. We also have Dr. Joe's Seasonal Tonic and Dr. Joe's Wellness Booster. Wellness Booster helps keep your immune system strong. Seasonal Tonic I take if I have an infection. So sinus infection, and the results are phenomenal. Now, Seasonal Tonic and Wellness Booster are really strong. They're liquids, and they're really strong. So just be prepared when you take them, but they work really well. And so we've got protocols for pretty much everything. Like I said, the cold laser, the acoustic wave, the chiropractic, the erectile dysfunction. We want to get you well and keep you well. Folks, I realize I'm almost out of time. Again, the website, drjoe.com. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. I'll catch you next time. Done. Now we answer more questions. You have more questions?
One comment before the questions.
Okay.
I actually feel taller after I lay on your tables.
Oh, excellent. Well, you do. You actually are taller. Yeah, because we're pumping cerebrospinal fluid and we're opening up those discs. So you actually are getting taller. So good. Thank you for that comment. Questions?
I've heard that 1 Brazil nut per day is enough selenium. Is that true?
Correct. That's fine. Yes. Absolutely good. Good source of selenium.
I'm taking Essential Source and Super Greens. Is that enough B vitamins?
I take the extra B vitamins anyway, just because if I'm stressed, it depends on a lot of different things, and I don't want to run out of B vitamins. So the Essential Source has B vitamins in it. I take Dr. Joe's B complex on top of it. It's a really cheap insurance policy, so that's why I do that. And you feel great too. It gives you lots of energy with B12.
Does exercise help to prevent type 2 diabetes?
Exercise can help, yes, help with insulin resistance. Type 2 diabetes is called insulin resistance. Two main things cause insulin resistance. Number one, you eat sugar. your brain sends a message to your pancreas and says, hey, there's sugar in the blood. We got to get this sugar out of the blood. And the reason is sugar is an acid, and it can irritate the lining of the blood vessel walls, and that can cause inflammation of the blood vessel walls. And then the body lays down cholesterol to kind of act as a scab over that inflammation, and it can lead to heart disease. And that's why diabetics oftentimes die of heart disease. Or they have circulatory issues. They have to get amputations because they're not getting good circulation. So the body wants to get the sugar out of the blood as quickly as possible. So the body releases insulin. Insulin goes up to the cell and acts like a key. It opens up the cell and allows sugar into the cell. And then your body utilizes sugar. Well, if you eat too much sugar, you have too much insulin. And the cells say, I can't take any more insulin because I can't keep letting sugar in. So it resists the insulin from opening it up the cell. Insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes. That's bad. If you're eating omega-6 fatty acids, seed oils, processed seed oils, corn, soybeans, safflower, sunflower, canola, these oils can clog up the keyhole so the insulin can't open up the cell. And that's why I'm so strict on you guys getting rid of all your vegetable oils. So if you get rid of the vegetable oils, you cut down on your sugar, the cells become more receptive to the insulin, and type 2 diabetes many times either gets better or goes away. Exercise causes the cells to require more sugar, which requires them to let the insulin open them up. And that's why it helps type 2 diabetes. That's a long answer for a short question. What else you got?
Can 16-year-olds take Essential Source, Super Greens, and vitamin D3 with K2?
If I was Grand Pooh, yes.
How much?
If I was Grand Poobah of the universe, the answer would be you have to. I believe, I mean, if I could change one thing in the world, everybody takes Super Greens and Essential Source every day. And I think we'd solve a lot of problems in the world because so many people are sick, and that's why they do things that aren't good. A 16-year-old can take the adult dose, a scoop of each, and about 5 drops of Dr. Joe's vitamin D. Absolutely. I wish every 16-year-old would. What else you got?
Is ginger beer and tartaric acid good for you? The acid is in the ginger beer.
The acid is just, it's not good or bad, really. Too much acid is bad anyway, but there's so little of it. Ginger beer is loaded with sugar, though. And so the answer is no. Ginger's fine, and there's very little ginger. Most of it is sugar. So the answer is no. It's just another soda. So what else?
Another comment has come in from a listener. They are saying that they take the Essential Source and the Super Greens, and their health has improved 100%.
There you go.
They also have a child that's 9 years old that just loves the Super Greens and the Essential Source.
That's so, oh man, my heart just melted when you said that. I wish all children would do that because it's so important to get these kids healthy, and it changes everything for their future. How they go to school, how they interact, who they date. I mean, it changes everything when the body is healthy. So thank you for that comment. That was really nice of you. So go to Google, give us a 4-star review. We'd appreciate that. Anything less than that, don't give it. No. What else you got?
And just a comment to our listeners that larger questions can be sent directly to you at drjoe.com.
Yeah, if you have more questions, just go to drjoe.com. Little bot pops up. Josh, our IT guy, has this little bot on the website that says, hey, want to chat? Send me your questions. I'm happy to answer them for you. Anything else?
That is all.
You guys are awesome. Thanks so much. Follow me on social media. We'll catch you next time.